Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Welcome to the 5th class of this series on Mantra Yoga. Today we're going to discuss an important aspect of Mantra Yoga, and that is Mantra consciousness. We all have heard Mantra consciousness, Mantra Chaitanya, Mantra consciousness, Mantra awakening. What is that? Is it something that's sleeping? Yes, the mantra is it were dormant. The powers of the mantra are dormant and it has to be awakened. One of the mysteries of how consciousness manifests as attention, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you. Cognition, you are looking at me, I'm looking at you. Memories, the whole system works on memories. Intelligence, the sense of identity. How does consciousness take on all these forms? It's not assuming forms. It is manifesting as all these forms. And we know from studies that it has taken millions and billions of years for consciousness to actually manifest itself through these kind of forms. This is the first thing that needs to be understood. The second most important thing is how this consciousness is actually, we would say, is the nature of reflection. When we talk about consciousness, it is generally attributed to the brain. All your memories, all your perceptions and identity is all in the neurons. But that's only one part of the whole. Consciousness can never be delimited to the brain alone. If it was, then there's no point in studying consciousness too much, because it's a limited, it's a transient, it's an ephemeral, it is fragmented. It will be kind of no use if you just keep on looking for consciousness which is limited by the functions of the brain. So we have something called the display of consciousness through all these modes we've been speaking about. The second most important thing about consciousness is it is self-conscious. It is self-conscious. And what is this self-consciousness? The self-consciousness is actually what you find in the whole body, the idea of a kind of a mirror, a reflection. And it is this quality that we have in all of us. Now, what is this idea of consciousness as reflecting itself? The idea of consciousness reflecting itself is nothing but in Sanskrit called swarupa. So is this something called that figure of speech called alliteration, swarupa, one's own nature? What is consciousness? one's own nature. And what is one's own nature? Self-consciousness. Consciousness is always self-conscious of itself, and that acts like a mirror. You know, we have neurologists speaking about, now some neurologists speaking about, we have mirror neurons in the brain that reflect things outside, and we learn. The process of culture is looking, observing, the thing being reflected, and you learn. We also find that in certain cases where the person has to be cured of epilepsy or some other brain disorder, the corpus callosum is cut between these two halves. Consciousness develops itself in two hemispheres separately, independent of each other. What's that? How come it can develop like that? Yes, there are studies and there are experiments. It's proved consciousness develops in two separate pathways. You also find in cases of hallucination or delusion or schizophrenia and all these psychoses, other psychoses, you find consciousness as it were fragmented. The person hears voices or sees things in the head. How is that possible? That's because of that reflection of consciousness there. It's fragmented. We also have something else called, and this is very important, that when we speak about our inner voice, the voice of conscience or the voice of God, all that thing is, it does not go along with Vedanta. It is that quality of self-reflection that gives us an idea of, oh, I hear it, but that's my higher self probably speaking about. It's nothing to do with the Freudian ego and superego. Consciousness itself reflects itself. So to just attribute consciousness just to the brain, it runs into great difficulties. Consciousness is everywhere, manifesting itself in everywhere. These are the dominant forms of consciousness. Okay. Now, when we are talking about the mind, especially in the process of mantra yoga, we are talking about vrittis. Okay, we had seen what is a vritti. Like these drops of water falling in the pool of water. What is generating is those ripples, and those ripples are intersecting with each other. This is what exactly happens in the mind. This has to be understood. The whole mind stuff has got these vrittis. Okay. Now, technically, what do you call a vritti? A vritti is a movement, a wave. The movement of what? Of the mind stuff. More closer, it is nothing but the mind stuff taking the form of an object. Suppose you see a red apple. The mind takes the form of that red apple, and that is called a vritti. In Vedanta, it's called a vritti jnana, the knowledge that is derived from the movement of the mind, vritti, the wave. You always perceive the thing inside. The apple may be outside. You don't perceive it outside. You perceive it inside, and that is, as it were, reflected outside. So you get the idea of the reflection of consciousness. Okay. Now we've understood what is vritti. There are two movements. The form that takes the idea of a vritti the form inside of the vritti. There are two forces tugging at us. One is called a pravritti and one is called a nivritti. So the pravritti is circling outwards and the nivritti is circling inwards. Okay. Now what happens in many cases, there is a center of the vritti, the wave, and it's being tugged on both sides. One is a centrifugal force, as it were, and one is the centripetal, or one is pulling you inside. Okay. Now when we have something like this going on, these two things has to combine. And what we see is, suppose I'm sitting and meditating. So right now, if my dominant, you can say, movement of the mind is the pravritti, I may be sitting quietly, but I'm aware of everything outside. That's called a movement of the mind outside. It's taking my mind and moving it outside. I may be meditating, but actually that's not meditation. That's not mantra repetition at all. People have been sitting down quietly with eyes closed and they are meditating. They are not meditating because the movement of this mind, the mind stuff, is leading you outside. You're aware of the sounds and touch and taste and sights and everything. So that will not do for meditation. Sometimes when my mind is in a dominant mood of internal, the nivritti, when the mind is being pulled inside, when my mind is being pulled inside, what happens is there's a part of my mind that is being drawn out. So I'm trying to meditate and going deeply and deeply and deeply, but one part of my mind is being dragged inside by the force, another is tugging me outside. What can balance both these two? It is only the mantra that can balance these two. And when these two forces are balanced, a wonderful stillness and a calmness comes. So both these forces are balanced. The outward circulating forces are balanced with the inward circulating forces. And the mantra, the vritti, as a vritti, stands still. And as it stands still, what happens is you have a perfect stillness of the mind. If you can see that mantra and consciousness, the two arrows are converging. They converge to the point, and the forces, the pravritti and nivritti, are held in balance. This is the awakening. We've shown it with the third eye of the goddess. This is the awakening. Mantra joins to consciousness and consciousness joins to mantra. It's tremendous. The mantra becomes conscious and the consciousness becomes the mantra, as it were, the vritti. And there is a tremendous power that is unleashed. So this mantra consciousness now develops or manifests as intelligence, as mind, as an ego, identity, as cognition, as memory, as everything. So initially it was only consciousness that was manifesting in all these forms, dominant forms. Now with the mergence of the mantra and consciousness, what happens is, now this mantra consciousness will manifest through your memory, through your cognitions, through the sense of I. It suffuses you. This is called mantra awakening. And these are the dominant forms. Internally also in the body, the mantra kind of suffuses your prana, your life force, your body, everything around. Your whole body, your whole mind, your whole subconscious, everything is awakened through this mantra consciousness. The mantra awakens. And this is the point where the sadhaka or the spiritual aspirant attains its self-fulfillment in the awakening of the mantra. This is mantra consciousness. So mantra and consciousness, which are two things, have now become merged. And then both those forces of pravritti and nivritti, they are stilled. The vritti in the form of the mantra is still, perfect stillness. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you find it's reaching down to your very depths. Then the mantra awakens. So it was dormant, and now it's awakened. This completely transforms your body and mind. It completely transforms your view of the world. It completely transforms all spiritual, you can say, ideas. It is at this point that you can really say, I am spiritual. Till that point, we are just struggling towards spirituality. Religion is also far way behind. So at this point, one becomes spiritual. So the whole thing depends on the vritti and on the stilling of these two forces, pravritti and nivritti, circling outwards and circling inwards. And then there's a mergence of the mantra and consciousness. The mantra becomes conscious and consciousness becomes the mantra. Then the whole development display. Okay. So for our practice today, we will take the mantra Om Shri Durga. Okay. This is a mantra. I've used the name of Durga because she is the mother goddess. She is the repository of all powers. She is the one who helps us, protects us. And the form of Durga, as we know, is the well-known form of Durga with that red clothes, okay, holding the weapons, the symbolic weapons. She is the mother of all gods and goddesses. She is Durga. She is the one who is invincible. She is that power that is right now in you. She is that power of consciousness. We have personalized. We are talking so long about the consciousness as kind of developing through various modes of living. So how do we personalize it? You have personalized it through your own person, that reflection, self-reflection. So now we remove the personal, you can say, identity of yours, your identity, and replace it with the idea of Durga, who is a real consciousness there. So she is actually here in our bodies, in our minds, in everywhere. Durga consciousness. Now this Durga, this consciousness has also a mantra. This is a mantra. This is kind of more like a provisional mantra of Durga. So even those who have been initiated in other traditions or you have other mantras, for today's practice session, we will only use this Om Shri Durga. If you can meditate and repeat one mantra, you can meditate and repeat all mantras. If you can meditate on one form of God, you can meditate on all forms of God. I'm emphasizing this. I generally don't, for this practice session, use this because, like I said, she is the seat of all power of consciousness, and she is also the movement of consciousness. She is a manifestation of consciousness. Okay. So I would like you to look at the figure of Durga and along with me repeat Om Shri Durga, Om Shri Durga, Om Shri Durga. As you repeat it, I want you to observe the figure of the goddess very carefully. Om Shri Durga, Om Shri Durga, Om Shri Durga. Now silently repeat the same Om Shri Durga. Repeat it silently, but now let the tongue move with each repetition. Keep watching with your eyes open the figure of Durga and repeating mentally the mantra with a slight movement of the tongue, the normal movement. Now try to stop the movement of the tongue while still mentally repeating Om Shri Durga. Keep on watching that screen on which you see Durga. Close your eyes please now and keep on repeating the mantra mentally and visualizing that form of Durga. Intently observe that form of Durga. If it helps, you could open your eyes for a brief moment and again watch that form on your screen while you mentally repeat Om Shri Durga. Now don't let the tongue move at all. Keep it still. Close your eyes please. Repeat mentally and visualize the form. Visualize the form now completely filling your chest. The image is bright, brilliant, luminous. Visualize and repeat mentally. Focus, focus. Use all your mental strength to focus. See that figure within your chest. Bright. Now repeat it audibly, please, the mantra. Om Shri Durga. Keep your eyes closed and keep on visualizing. Om Shri Durga. 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 Now open your eyes and look at this picture of Durga while still continuing repeating Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Keep your eyes open while now mentally repeat Om Shri Durga. Keep repeating. Now close your eyes and visualize the image of Durga. Now chant it audibly. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Now open your eyes, please. Keep on chanting audibly and looking at the picture. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. Om Shri Durga. This is how you need to practice the repetition of this mantra, Durga's mantra. And you will find that the mantra is awakened, and it will awaken your consciousness and awaken everything else. Okay? So we have time for some questions. We can take up these questions. Yeah, I have a, okay. Will Maharaj answer a question at the end of the session? My God, here I am. Sometimes I lose track of time when I'm in meditation and I have to run because I am late for work. How can I avoid this? Yes, but it's a good sign that you are losing track of time. That is an ideal, you can say, indicator of a good meditation. What you could do is have a set sequence of meditation. That's what we do also. Have a set sequence of meditation. Say maybe for half an hour, or maybe for 1 hour, or even a 15 minutes. A set sequence. Go through that, and once you're over with that sequence at the end of, you get up from this. Even though your mind would not like to get up, do get up. Because that is also a part of training. So when we are supposed to leave in half an hour and we are meditating, so we have a sequence for a half an hour meditation. We have a sequence for a 45 minutes meditation. We have a sequence for 1 hour meditation, or 2 hours, or 5 hours. So what you could do is experiment with the various steps you are taking. When one loves all forms of the divine, how could one select the best form and mantra for oneself? This is a question I would like to ask. Actually, each one of us is differently constituted. Each one of us. Now this depends on the past impressions in our mind, the quality of our mind, the type of people we are. Either we are sattvic or rajasic or tamasic. and the way you have been brought up, your upbringing, all these make you a kind of a distinct entity in this world. Now these are called the tattvas. So the tattvas are the elements, the subtle elements in the body that gives you a unique spiritual identity. Okay? And that spiritual identity moves you towards the worship of a particular form of God. You will like a particular form of God or goddess more than other forms. So that is the way you can understand which god or which goddess you like. So that also will tell you, oh, so my body and mind is constituted of these tattvas. Tattvas are, you can, for now, we just take the subtle elements that compose your body and your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. So we are oriented towards certain things. That orientation is a spiritual orientation. Okay. Okay. We have pravritti and nivritti. How we should balance them in our karma. What you could do is, there is something called the thought and feeling awareness. Okay, you must become aware of your thought processes, and that awareness brings a kind of a break on your actions also. If you're going to do a bad action, it will act as a kind of a break. Why? Because of that awareness. And when you're doing a good action, you will find that your mind is letting you do that work, that pravritti. It is pushing you. So just awareness is the thing that is central to the control of these two, pravritti and nivritti. What is the symbol in the right palm of the hand of Durga? So, Durga has a lot of kind of, it's the whole, it's just symbology. The right palm, she is holding weapons. Okay. So she has got the sword, and that's a sword of knowledge. Okay. And then she has the trident. This is the control of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. This is in the right palm. There's a discus. That's round, or index finger. That is, she can reach out at a distance with her powers, etc. So you could go to any of these sites, authentic sites, and just check the various, you can say, interpretations of the symbol. So the whole Durga iconography is very symbolic and very powerful also. When visualizing the Devi in the chest, should she be facing towards us or away from us? She should be facing the same way as you are facing. Yes, I forgot to mention it. Thank you for asking this. She should be facing the same way as you are facing. That's a good thing. Now, thank you. If Swamiji, can one practice mantra meditation even if he is non-vegetarian? Oh yes! Food has got very little to do with this mantra repetition. Please, that food question has to be left aside, and the practice of meditation has to be done with sincerity. Okay, so dear Swami, should I do my mantra practice before or after my meditation? The mantra repetition, mantra practice itself is a kind of a precursor to deep meditation. Remember this. So you do the mantra repetition. As you do the mantra repetition, it becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. Then it leads to meditation. So it's always mantra first, repetition, and then meditation. Is it necessary to do japa with the mala, or can we do it with just mental calculation? Those who can do it just mentally, they are far, you can say, superior, I would say. But what happens is, this superiority does not mean that, that you keep a count. In mental repetition, there is no need for keeping a count, number one. Secondly, the mind should not stray from the mantra. Otherwise, it's useless. If the mind strays even a slight bit, then it is good to use a mala, because the use of mala, there's something called a hand-eye coordination, you see. And both these hand and eye are coordinated in the motor regions of the brain. So when you are either repeating or counting on your fingers or the mala, this hand-eye coordination, your eyes become still. There is a kind of rhythm in your movement, and the motor, you can say, centers also become still. So that was the reason why they asked us to do it with mala. But we do with mala for some time, for some years or some months, and then you rise to just a mental repetition of the mantra. Because later on you will find yourself holding the rosary, the mala is the rosary, will be a distraction when the mind is getting more and more internalized. Okay, so you will know when to take up just a mental repetition of most of the mantras. Okay. What is the minimum time limit for mantra? Oh my God. You can conquer time with mantra, but I would ask you to begin on a short duration, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Do it with sincerity. Go in for quality, not for quantity. Do that 5, 10 or 15 minutes quality meditation, a quality repetition of the mantra, and then gradually increase the time. From 15, make it to 18, and then 20 and 22. And then remember, go in for quality more than anything. So most of the mantras end with Namah. So is it needed like Om Shri Durga Namaha? Yes, I had given a kind of a standard mantra, Om Shri Durga. The extended part of the mantra, Om Shri Durgayai Namaha. So there are many mantras ending with Namah, salutations. There are some mantras which do not end with Namah, salutations. So if you are interested, you can use Om Shri Durgayai Namaha, salutations to Shri Durga. Can we request these classes to run for a year more? Okay. Thank you. But let us go, let the spirit move us. I was telling one of our monastics, I've got to come up with newer and newer, you can say, angles of vision regarding this mantra yoga. And I want to make it creative and unique. So if you are interested, if you are practicing sincerely what you have been learning, that will also impel me to keep on continuing these classes. Okay, it's not just theory. We have begun this series of classes for practical purposes. We've had enough of theories now. We just want to sit down and do something practical. Okay, thank you. Image of a beautiful feet of Divine Mother came up during meditation. I have image of Ramakrishna. Is that okay? Oh yeah, perfectly. It's perfect. You don't have to worry. So either an image that comes in while meditating, a secondary image that comes in, it doesn't matter. If you are meditating on Sri Ramakrishna, now I want you to continue meditating on Sri Ramakrishna and repeating Ramakrishna's name. For this session, it was only on Durga. Okay, let's say a person chooses a mantra and practice for years. Later on, can he take mantra diksha from a guru? Yes. Because this provisional mantra has been taken by you. You can repeat this mantra, and when you take the mantra initiation, please tell the guru that this is what I have been repeating. The perfect guru will give you a mantra akin, similar to what you have been repeating, because the guru will not let that all the past momentum of that particular mantra go to waste with a completely different mantra. So you can, please go ahead and repeat this mantra, whatever mantra that you can. Okay, is it most necessary to think of the meaning all the time, or simply the dhwani or rhythm is no? Nivedita asked, no. You are doing just half of the practice. Suppose I say mango. The moment you hear the word mango, the sound evokes the image and the meaning. So this is a natural process of the mind. So when you are repeating the mantra, the image should flash as well as the meaning. You know why? Because if you're spending that precious time you have for repeating the mantra, do it in a complete way. Get the whole package. So it helps you integrate the mind and release the powers of the mantra as well as the powers of the mind. After visualizing the Devi inside us, is our vision of her from inside or outside? To see her face, for example, from where is our viewpoint? Yes, that's important. And that's the reason why this whole talk was centered on the movement of the mind called a vritti. Actually, we see the image in our mind. The external world is only a suggestion. Rays of light or sound come in, nothing but electromagnetism, but our real perception is inside. So you are seeing the face of Durga actually inside, and that's more intimate, and that is, you can say, powerful. Okay. Yeah. And great to attend such classes. Okay, fine, thank you. When you said visualize Durga Ma in a chest area, like the form on the screen, she was very bright. Then a bit later you said she should be very bright. Thank you, sir. Oh yes, every form of meditation should be luminous, because the mind likes to see luminous things. You know, the eyes and the mind like to see luminous things. When it is dark, it likes to sleep, as you know. So luminous things attracts the mind, and the forms of gods and goddesses are all luminous. So you're not imagining it, you are actually doing the right thing. Okay. Mind always has a tendency to commit mistakes in spite of knowing about its repercussions. Will working on the mind be enough, or one should be correct your mistakes? That's the nature of the mind. This is the nature of life. Don't be afraid of mistakes. We learn from mistakes and carry forward. Don't mope about mistakes. Okay, that will kind of drag you down. So it's okay to learn from mistakes. It's okay. Don't commit it deliberately. Mistakes, of course, are not committed deliberately. It's a mistake. But when you do commit something, just become aware. Okay, this has to be corrected, and you correct yourself and proceed. So you don't have to spiritual practices to correct your mistakes. Please correct your mistakes as well as do your spiritual practices. Okay, so many doubts have been during this. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining and tuning in. See you again next Saturday for the 6th class of Mantra Yoga. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.